Hello, this is Blue Star, defender of Equestria, and this is my SeaquestriaFest Day 3 video for 2024. And the con is over. No. But, unfortunately, considering that it is 8:37, there's parts of me that wish that the con might have ended a little bit earlier the way that this is supposed to schedule, the way the schedule says it's supposed to. But at the same time, it was still pretty cool. So, because, yeah, I mean, it was, let's just say there was a lot of emotional things that happened this day, as kind of, in some ways, the last day of the con is, but particularly for other reasons, but I shall be getting to those in a minute. So yeah, so the first panel I went to was the ups and downs of roller coasters, which was actually kind of interesting. I mean, this whole con has actually been about amusement parks and coasters, and I'm not really a coaster person, but it was hosted by Coaster Brony, who's basically, or I forget, is or was a roller coaster technician, and being a bit of an engineering person myself, thought this might be interesting. So, and it kind of was, but there was definitely moments where they're talking about, oh, this coaster, that coaster, this coaster, oh, it's a this kind of coaster and that kind of coaster made by this company. I'm like, I really don't know what you're talking about, but it was still cool to see everybody excited about the roller coasters and all those sorts of things, because that's pretty cool. So, let's just say that there may be some things I have to edit out from this particular video, but we shall see, I guess. And then, of course, my own panel and last panel for Sequestria 2023. Oh yes, I forgot. It's like, yes, I'm actually wearing a windbreaker right now because it's kind of cold out all of a sudden. It's like, it was actually kind of not so bad the last couple nights, but then again, I don't think I was recording quite perhaps this late, but oh dear. Anyway, yeah, then of course my own panel and the last of my panels for SeaquestriaFest 2024, the Ponies and Villains of Maritime Bay 2024. And I think that actually, worked out really well. This was the one that I was worried about because I never was able to finish it on time. I ran over by like 30 minutes every single time. But the good news is I was able to finish with like 35 seconds left on my timer. So we finished the time, but really wasn't any time for Q&A. But a few people did come up to me afterwards, and we kind of like, asked me a few questions, and we kind of just talked about, sort of like, in some way, yeah, the characters and or the world of Maritime Bay. And overall, it was actually pretty good, and definitely, it's like, I'm free! It's definitely my first thought. Because, yeah, after that, everything is basically, okay, that's it. My panels are done, everything's fine. I can definitely go and do whatever I want now, and I don't have to worry about anything, so... So yeah, so again, overall the panels at this SeaquestriaFest, for my panels anyway, were actually, and the panels in general actually were really good, and I'm pleased that my panels were really successful, because again, there was a lot of other things, distractions, issues. Again, I had to work on one Saturday, which kind of put my rehearsal schedule almost to the winds in some ways, so I really didn't feel prepared for this, but fortunately everything worked out okay, and definitely definitely on multiple occasions that people said that, oh, they really enjoyed them and they liked them, and I'm really appreciative of that, because, yeah, I mean, let's just say the analysis community is not, I was going to say the analysis community is, and or the interest in the analysis community is not quite what it was. So to see that people are still interested in these kinds of things definitely makes me feel really good, and I'm glad that every pony enjoyed the panels. So, so yeah, so then was the lunch break where, well, I had lunch. And then the SeaquestriaFest 2024 cosplay competition, which I exhibited in because, well, there's parts of me that are always struggling to find, how do I say this without, how's the best way to say this? Is that I think the short answer is that I'm not quite competing in the correct weight class, shall I say. and that I want other people to win because I won last year, and I want other people to win too because their costumes are really good as well. The person who won, let's see, the person who won the advanced division was somebody who did like a Sakura costume with this big staff and supposedly put it together in like the course of a weekend. So, whoa! And the best in show was out. It was basically a half fursuiter. Like they had the head and I think the tail, but everything else was just clothing. So again, I always want the fursuiters to win. Fursuiting is a whole other level. It's like because you have to totally encapsulate yourself in this costume and not only make it good, not only make it look good, but also make sure that you can breathe, you're not overheating, and all those sorts of things. So good for them. Roar. But I did exhibit, you know, and I brought actually a different helmet, my ODST, my Royal ODST helmet. So, yo, because it would just be fun and all that stuff. I mean, I was honestly kind of nervous about my costume because I did bring the blaster, which I would bring out here, but I'm just nervous that somebody down there might freak out. So that was kind of also what I was kind of worried about at the con, because in the website rules, they have the, I'm going to call in some ways the bait, you know, the kind of rules that you see at most of the other cons. They're, I can't remember the exact thing, but okay, it's like, okay, there's definitely limitations and stuff, but okay, do these things and it'll be fine. But in the little con book, it says, no prop weapons of any kind. Oh. That doesn't exactly leave any room to maneuver, to say the least. So yeah, I was worried that they had like, you know, just banned it. So I'm asking them. It's like I hold up my blaster. It's like, is this a problem? And then, you know, after let's just say a few exchanges, they say no, it's not. And even, you know, basically, you know, they say, you know, it's like, and they, you know, say, and they asked you, oh, is there a problem? And nobody did. And that was okay, and they appreciated that I asked that because again, I don't want to break the rules. I don't want to scare anybody, and let's just say I don't want worse things to happen, particularly to me. So, but that was cool though. I know I walked up on stage. I showed them my blaster and stuff. I mean, I think the thing I liked the most is that one of the judges thought that this horn was 3D printed, but no, it's actually in some ways sculpted out of foam. I mean, it is foam, but it was kind of sculpted. That, long story short, because I'm sure most of you may not be quite interested, is that how I make these was a neat trick from Evil Ted Smith, who was actually a professional prop maker, that you glue a bunch of the foam together so you get like a big block. You lay out a triangle, you cut it on the bandsaw so you get like a pyramid like this, you flip it over, you know, cut another pyramid, so now you basically have like essentially, you know, a pyramid, a four-sided pyramid, and then you can sculpt it into what, so I took that further. Instead of having like just a spike, I made it into a unicorn horn, and then I, you know, added the grooves and stuff around it. So I was actually like that. It's like, in some ways that makes me feel good. It's like, oh, she thought it was 3D printed, but no, I made that myself. So yay! And honestly, I do enjoy just like, you know, showing off my costume once in a while, because yeah, I mean, you put all this time and effort into something, you may as well just have your, you know, 30 seconds of glory in some ways. And I already won last year, so it's like, yay, I won a cosplay competition. In some ways, I'm happy with that. So, roar. But I do think that maybe next year I'm gonna do something different. That I'll leave the blaster at home and I'll do something different and, like, you know, change up my armor, and, you know, because I like my armor, but it's very not comfortable. Very difficult to wear. I think I'm gonna do like more casual, almost I'll call it police armor kind of, you know, vest and stuff, and you know, I think I'm gonna go dual lightsabers. I have one in blue, one in yellow and stuff, and like, you know, because as much as I love blasters, you know, lightsabers in some ways be in some ways more befitting, you know, this universe, because yeah, again, anyway, okay. So anyway, yeah, and hopefully, I mean, I don't think I can take real credit for this, but hopefully might have inspired a few other people to walk up on stage and you get, you know, just exhibit their stuff and just have some fun, which is ultimately what this whole competition and all this stuff is about. So, then there was the so-called dinner break, even though it's at like 3 to 4 o'clock. So yeah, after the cosplay competition, I basically just hung out in my hotel room and just chilled and just be like, yay, all my paddles are done, and just relax and stuff is basically what happened. And then after that, the charity auction started at 4, and the charity auction, I like it, but yeah, it's one of the things that I'm gonna get this out of the way first, and then I can talk about the charity auction itself, is that I like the charity auction, but it runs for far too long. My favorite part of my schedule on this is that there's a question mark at the ending of the closing ceremonies, because it's like, I've been here before, I know that this scheduled time is not the time they're actually going to end, where it's going to end, which in a lot of ways I'm not happy about, you know. I mean, the good news is that they, you know, made the point of calling out the times from time to time. So like, yeah, we've overrun our scheduled times in the closing ceremonies were the beginning. If you have a flight, you should probably go and leave and make that flight and stuff. Because, yeah, because that's exactly the problem. It's like, this is the last day of the con. People are either leaving, in the process of leaving, or about to leave, or going. Yeah, so especially since a lot of people probably fly to this convention, that, yeah, if it's not over by the scheduled times, we're sorry, you're out of luck. You have to leave, otherwise you will miss that flight and not go home, and that obviously creates far bigger problems. So I feel like they need to do something different with the charity auctions. I don't think it should be shorter, because let's just say this one was very, very, very successful. But at the same time, I feel like they need to do something different, because this to me is almost in some ways unacceptable. If you're gonna schedule a time, especially on the last day, you have to really do your best to keep it. If you're gonna overrun it by like several hours, that's not good. I was thinking maybe they could break up the charity auction into like 2 parts. That we'll do part of the charity auction on this day, part of the charity auction on that day, or we'll do it part of it in the morning, part of it in the afternoon, or something along those lines, so that they spread it out, so that hopefully when they do it on the last day, that maybe they might actually meet the schedule. But whatever that would, but of course that probably means that they would lose another panel or something at some point and stuff like that. So, but it was just a thought. But anyway, yeah, so the charity auction was actually very successful, and it does have its ups and downs and all its sort of like fun bits and things that just like, you just don't remotely expect things to happen, and I just really liked that, you know, that I thought it was really cool. And it just feels like you just never ceases to surprise me. There's always something else going on, so it's just like, yeah, and I mean, in some ways there's so many things, and it's just like, I'm still in some ways kind of processing it in a lot of ways. But yeah, totally, that I think the one thing that I remember is that Gaginka, the con chair, actually was selling her badge for that from BronyCon, and I'm like, what? It's like, I would never sell my badges for BronyCon or any of the badges, because those are memories. It's like, back home there's this box that's labeled BronyCon badges. I mean, obviously there's no more BronyCon, so no more BronyCon badges, but that's the box where all my badges, con books, all those things go into, and it's sort of my goal that one day it will be full. So, so yeah, to sell that, I would never sell that stuff, because it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like, I'll pick this up, it's like, oh, this was my first BronyCon badge, or, oh, I remember this con, and all that stuff, so. But the good news is that I think it was it was either one of the, I think she was one of the staff, but probably one of her friends as well, went and bought the badge, and then immediately gives it to her and says, you know, please never do this again, you have to pinky promise, and I think that she did, so, and yeah, it's like, I was just like, there's people down there with flashlights. Then again, they're probably looking up at me and saying, hey, what's that guy doing over there with all those lights? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I think this place does actually have a light, but I don't think but it doesn't appear to be working. All right. Focus, start focus. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, so the charity auction was definitely a lot of fun. I like going to them. I just wish they weren't so long. But the good news is this, regardless, was very, very, very successful. Last year they raised $4,000 for, what is it? It's JFDR or some combination of those letters, but it's like junior diabetes research and all those sorts of things. So last year they raised $4,000. So this time they raised, I guess we raised $8,000. So whoa, way to go, SeaquestriaFest! Roar! It's like, I think I'll mention this. In some ways I shouldn't, but, you know, I mean, there were so many of these amazing, you know what? Nah, I've changed my mind. I'm not going to mention that. It's like, you know, if you watch the SeaquestriaFest video that I will be eventually posting, that you will see, but all I'm going to say is it does involve me, but it was a little like 20 seconds of fame, but all I'm going to say is I'm just glad to help. So, yes, and I'll say that it was towards the end, so you don't have to watch the whole video if you don't want to. But yeah, so yeah, the charity auction went on for a long time. It was actually pretty cool, and again, it was really, really successful. And I'm just impressed. There was a huge amount of items, and it never surprises me to see the kinds of items and the things that people will pay money for and won't pay money for. But overall, again, it was really good. It was great. And again, way to go, SeaquestriaFest! Roar! And then, of course, the closing ceremonies, which kind of happened very abruptly, because with the charity auction basically overrunning, you know, by several hours, that, because, yeah, I think it started at 4 p.m. I think it's supposed to be finished by 5:15. That did not happen remotely. And, yeah, it finished more, I think, at 7. And then the closing ceremonies, they happened very abruptly. And unfortunately, my poor camera, I depleted like almost every battery I have. This is like my last battery that isn't dead. This is why I have to bring my fancy Blue Star camera bag that I showed off in a previous video, because it's like I just needed to hold the camera stuff and all its auxiliary batteries. But yeah, the closing ceremonies were actually pretty good, although this year were definitely very emotionally heavy, because the long story short is Gaginka, the con chair, will no longer be the con chair, because the long story short is she has to take care of other people and herself. So, no, but we appreciate everything that she's done to make this con happen, because yeah, and everything that all the other staff and the community guests and everybody does to make this con happen, because it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of resources to make these cons happen, and they don't happen by themselves. So it was definitely very emotional, and there was a lot of really, you know, really cool, uplifting, and sometimes difficult speeches from people. But overall, you know, it was definitely it was a difficult experience, but a very positive experience. Like, people were shouting like Gaginka, 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 and at the very end, you know, one of the I believe it was Creepy Kevin was saying, it's like, oh, I have a better one. It's like, I don't know, I can't remember what it was though. It's like, thank you, Gaginka. Oh yeah, thank you, Gaginka, bum, 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 bum. Thank you, Gaginka, bum, 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 bum. It's like, totally. It's like, so yeah, so the closing ceremonies were definitely very heavy, but overall they were pretty cool, and Gaginka will definitely be missed, but I'm sure that we are definitely in capable hands. So, but, so yeah, so that was basically the ending of the con. about 2 hours after the schedule says it was supposed to. Ugh. Again, it's like I left for the charity auction at 4, did not get back to my hotel room until maybe like 8:20 or 8:30. So yeah, I'm not thrilled about that. I hope they find a way to deal with that. But overall, the closing ceremonies were pretty cool, and SeaquestriaFest 2024 as a whole, I think was really good. I mean, yeah, there were definitely some very big problems. Well, yeah, there were problems that happened that basically people were late, things didn't get delivered when they were supposed to, and all those sorts of things. But fortunately, you know, okay, that just meant that we had to stay, you know, up later to get the, do registration and stuff, but it looks like most of those problems were eventually worked out and things were actually okay. And definitely after that, things were definitely good. I mean, I think, again, personally, all my panels went, I would say, fairly well. Ponies appeared to be enjoying them, so roar. And I was certainly enjoying the other panels and, you know, just chatting with people and stuff, and, you know, and overall, it was just a really good experience, and all I'm going to say is I'm glad that I did not just hide in my hotel room during the afternoon, that I actually went to those panels, because they were definitely worthwhile. But, as always, as sad, you know, as sad as it is to see a con closing down and all those things, it's like, I'm sad to leave, but I'm looking forward to going home, even though it is kind of sad and everything. But, you know, it's like, these cons are just amazing experiences, and everyone was just commenting on, like, how amazingly chill and awesome this beach is. Like, Foley was saying, it's like, you know, I went to the first BronyCon when it was basically in a warehouse somewhere, and that was, like, so chill, and then after that, every con is just, like, rushing around doing, like, 5 things at once and stuff like that. So this is the first con that's gone back to that chill thing, and I can't help imagine it's partly because of this. It's like, I mean, I know it's all dark and stuff now and you can't see it, but yeah, you got the ocean, you got the waves. It's like you want to just go and even just chill, even on a chilly day like this, that you can just walk out of the hotel and there's the ocean and the beach to, you know, chill at, and people are just so nice here and friendly, and yeah, that there are things like the dinner break so that everything isn't a mad rush to get from one thing to the other, and, you know, everyone is just trying to help out each other and just having a good time. And overall, it's just an amazing experience, and I'm glad that I came here, and I'm looking forward to coming back to next year. So, roar! Although, unfortunately, those dates are to be announced, because apparently there could be some big announcement that comes with that. So, So now, yeah, the con is over. It's time to start packing up and, you know, thinking about going home and stuff. Which, once again, is going to be kind of difficult because it's now a lot later than I would have liked. So gonna be interesting to see. So unfortunately, it's gonna be interesting. What do I do now? Because, you know, it is tempting to because I did bring my bicycle, so it is tempting to go for a little mat riding, especially since this boardwalk is so well lit and stuff. I almost don't need all the fancy lights that I put on my bike. But for now, I'm probably going to start packing up and, you know, looking forward to, you know, going home and getting back in some ways to all those things that, that maybe I've been putting off for a bit, and definitely getting back into Tell Your Tale and all those other things. And as always, I'm sad that the con is over, but I'm also glad to be heading home. And overall, this con has been just so amazing and so cool, and I look forward to coming back next year. So, so, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for commenting, liking, subscribing, and until next time, this is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.